Charger agus Comrade Michael Fáilte Coro Golar Sean New ar 104 Canford Magilla Fadrick Mro Arun through at Shashnok Spelcha the Bratna agus station in North Clunish on 11th of February 1922. Friends and comrades, I would like to welcome you all here today on behalf of the Matt Fitzpatrick Society in Newton Butler on the 104th anniversary for Commandant Matt Fitzpatrick, who was killed in action by British specialists at Clonus Railway Station on the 11th of February 1922. Today, as we stand on this island of Derrykerrib, which was once the headquarters of the Óglaigh Bridge Company of the Irish Republican Army, we remember Matt and his comrades who met here, who trained here and who slept here with the full support of the island people. Matt, along with three of his brothers who lived just down the road here in the townland of Kilgarrow, answered the call in the fight for Irish freedom. It was here on the morning of the 29th of April 1921, a raiding party consisting of military and be special well-known Orangemen and neighbours gained access onto the island because of a fog on the water, and surprised the volunteers who were asleep in Finnegan's house, now known as the jail, which is just over the hill there. Tommy Houston, who was on the sentry that day, by the time he seen them it was too late, and after a gun battle 6 volunteers were captured. Frank Conlon, Clonfad, Tommy Houston, Newton Butler, Hugh James Timmins, Derrykerrib, Francie Tumman and John James Fitzpatrick Kilgarrow. John James, the brother of Matt, was wounded as he tried to cross a hedge down the lower bottoms there. By good luck, Matt wasn't staying here that night, because he's staying down below there in Golden Duff in the dugout, because there was a certain B special called Taylor, and he went round all the different men that was arrested looking for Matt, because on that day he was going to shoot Matt dead if he had found him. So as we stand here today, we are standing on history. John James, Matt's brother, was not released for a long time after the War of Independence. He was still in September 22, eventually being released to join the army and with his brothers then. And when Operation Harvest came in 1956, where did the volunteers go for help to get it? Fitzpatrick's. So there was always a line there of help for the volunteers in Fitzpatrick's. So remember here, Matt here today. And so we stand here today, and I'll start off with a wee poem written by Bobby Sands. From humble home in dead of night, a flitting shadow fled. The yellow moon caught sharpened pike, and the nightshades danced and played. A bramble clawed at the trembling hand, and the night owl watched unseen. Through bog and glen, a united man marched out to win a dream. Cold black water lashed and splashed and played against a tattered reed. By dying embers, a woman prayed that the gale might but succeed. The silver nails of a rugged boot scarred a lonely, lifeless stone. Across Ramblin' Hill he marched afoot to fight along with Tone. 6 days he fought with gory piles of mutilated heroes, and the English cannon roared upon the ghosts of Celtic bones. A nation's blood was poured. Thousands fell in screaming bloody terror, whilst the informer hid cowering close by. But there was none there among the bloody fray to hear the woman cry. Now with reading the Proclamation. Óglaigh Na, the provisional government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generation from which to receive the old tradition of nationhood, Ireland through us summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, through open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizens' Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment, and supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the force on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies to be sovereign and indefeasible. That long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. And standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms, in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state, and we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to its cause, to its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation amongst the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government which have divided the minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms are brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all our men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We pledge the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessings we invoke upon our arms. We pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny of which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, John McDermott, P.H. Pearce, James Conley, Thomas McDonough, Eamon Kant and Joseph Plunkett. We will now have the laying of the wreath, and we Ciara McManus now to lay a wreath on behalf of the Matt Fitzpatrick Society. Will the President Éireann now to lay a wreath on behalf of the Republican movement. Will Damien Johnson now read the Wattle Bridge Company.
Wattle Bridge Company, Óglaigh Na, Matt Fitzpatrick, John James Fitzpatrick, Frank Fitzpatrick, Patrick Fitzpatrick, Edward Tilney, Patrick Tilney, John McDonough, Peter O'Reilly, Edward McAdam, Edward Mulvaney, Jack Mulvaney, Philip Donaghy, John James Donaghy, Paddy Colgan, John Colgan, George Colgan, Thomas Woods, Patrick Smith, James McCaffrey, Harry McCaffrey, Tommy Nugent, Hugh Nicholl, John Moe, John Tumman, Frank Tumman, Hugh James Tumman, John Condon, Frank Condon, Patrick Nicholl and Frank Sheridan.
We now have the lowering the flag, and Gary is lowering the flag here. Now we come to the main speaker here now for the day, and he's Michael Toll from South Armagh, from the Curtis Market Bridge Society, and he's the Vice Chairman of the 1960 Society, a lifelong republic. So we'll hand you now to Michael.
Comrades, it's a great privilege to have been invited to Derrykerrib today and to this fine monument to speak about and remember a fine noble son of Ireland, Commandant Matt Fitzpatrick, a volunteer of the Irish Republican Army who was killed in action against the British Crown Forces at Clones, County Monaghan 104 years ago last Wednesday. At just 25 years of age, at his untimely death, Matt had seen much action against the Brits here in the Fermanagh Monaghan area. His courage and bravery, along with brilliant tactical battlefield skills, saw him rise to the rank of Commandant at such a young age. Some 10 months prior to his death, volunteer Matt Fitzpatrick witnessed legislation that would see his country partitioned. His hometown land of Kilgarrow, here in County Fermanagh, along with 5 other Ulster counties, would remain under British rule, while the remaining 26 counties would be ruled by, and still is, by those opposed to Matt's fight for a 32-county socialist republic. Every day of Britain's rule in Ireland has been cruel and vile to the Irish Catholics. But the 1920s was particularly harsh. The leader of the British Liberal Party and their Prime Minister, Lloyd George, in desperation to suppress and crush the Irish people, founded infamous gangs such as the Black and Tans, a special reserve force to back up the sectarian D Specials, RIC and military. They quickly became known for their brutality and ability to burn towns like they did in Balbriggan, North County Dublin, and their notoriety became very evident when on the 21st of November 1920 they murdered 14 innocent Irish people at a football match in Croke Park in Dublin. Lloyd George actively and openly encouraged them and their cohorts in the Peak Specials, RIC and military to once and for all teach the Irish a lesson. But courageous and brave men like Matt Fitzpatrick was determined it would not be all one-way traffic. In late February 1921, the nearby village here in County Fermanagh of Óglaigh was to come under a sustained and brutal attack by the British war machine, led mainly by the B Specials. They burned many Catholic homes and injured many people. In their blind sectarian hatred, they attacked the local priest's house and one of them was shot dead. Many Catholics in the village of Óglaigh, in fear of reprisal and of their lives, fled to Scottstown and to the hills of Knockatalan in nearby Monaghan. Shortly after, at a meeting of the Clonus Battalion of the Irish Republican Army, it was agreed that the perpetrators of the Óglaigh attack would be made pay, agreeing among themselves that 16 members of the B Specials living in that area would have their houses burned and 4 sergeants who ordered the attack would be executed. On March the 21st, the Fermanagh night air was filled with the sound of gunfire from the rifles of the local IRA, and all around in the skyline the flames lit it up, and the B Specials paid dearly for their attack on the Catholics of Óglaigh village. Unfortunately for the IRA, it was not to go unscathed that evening. Volunteer Matt Fitzpatrick and his company set about attacking a B Special by the surname of Douglas. He was well known for his inhumane and cruel hatred, but when they arrived at the house they were unable to breach the front door. Matt moved to a nearby window, but Douglas fired a few rounds, hitting and injuring him. Matt's comrades returned fire, and in the exchange they executed Douglas. While recovering from his injuries, the Specials became aware of Matt's whereabouts. They arrested him and placed him under heavy armed guard at Monaghan County Hospital. RIC men stayed in his room, the B Specials patrolled landings and corridors, and the military set up sentry posts at every door. Some 200 yards away in the courthouse, a large number of military was billeted, and 300 yards away in the barracks, some 150 B Specials was placed. Despite all of this, one of the most daring operations of that time by the IRA sprung into action. Greatly outnumbered, and after a fierce gun battle, Johnny McKenna steered a car out of the grounds of the hospital. Inside that vehicle with him was volunteers Phil Marin, Dan Hogan, Paddy McCarran and one Matt Fitzpatrick. Along with many other volunteers that night, the IRA had rescued their injured comrade. Matt was secreted away to the Clontibret and Derrynews areas to finish his recovery. And like many other occasions in our history, he was looked after by the good, decent, supportive people in our communities. He recovered and again reported back to the IRA, for his war for Irish freedom was not yet over. As I sat the other night at the kitchen table in the house writing this speech, I googled the Ulster final of 1922. It stated it was not played because of the Irish Civil War. Well, let me correct Mr. Google. It was fixed for January the 22nd in Derry, but the evening before, 6 cars left Monaghan carrying the Monaghan players. At Dromore they were stopped by the Specials, who claimed they found weapons in their luggage and arrested 10 of the men. So Monaghan were actually unable to field in the county final and the Ulster final the next day. Now I do like Mr. Google, but if he does become a rewriter of history to suit the British, then he and I are going to have some trouble. But the ingenuity of volunteer Matt Fitzpatrick once again shone through. When he and his comrades put together a plan to release the 10 men, some of whom were IRA volunteers, and on February the 11th, a group of B Specials were to pass through Clonus train station en route from Newtownards to Enniskillen. The plan was to capture them, as many as possible, and use them as a bargaining tool to secure the release of their comrades who were stopped on the way to the Ulster final. Commandant Matt Fitzpatrick approached the train and shouted the order to the specials to put their hands up and there would be no shooting. But from behind him, one of them, in the normal British cowardly fashion, shot him in the back. 5 members of the B Specials was also executed on that day. The members of the GAA in Ireland have always suffered greatly at the hands of the British. The Monaghan team of 1922, the Croke Park Massacre, Aidan McAnespy and Sean Brown, to name but a few. Yet despite it all, its members and local clubs across this Ireland have built a sport we are proud of. That small sport that was founded in Mrs. Hayes' Hotel in Torres, Tipperary in 1884 has now spread across the globe to places like America, Asia and indeed Palestine. And it is with great shame and disgrace that those in the suits of the hierarchy of our national sport continues to deal and take sponsorship of bloodstained money from companies that have supported and financed the genocide of the people of Palestine and on the children of Palestine that plays our beloved national sport. The FAI must also make a similar decision to the GAA on what is right. And let's hope they make this with the innocent people of genocide in their minds. And we awoke this morning and we switched on the news, we see that genocide is still continuing. And with St. Patrick's Day also approaching, again, our great politicians and the hard-working people of Ireland's taxes will jet off across the globe. Some of these people will jostle for photos and handshakes of those who aided and abetted that genocide. It is wrong for our Taoiseach and it is wrong for our half-First Minister to even consider to embrace an narcissistic fool who boasted about buying Gaza and building a Riviera while the bodies of innocent children lay under its rubble. In a word to Mr. Trump, Palestine is not or never will be for sale, and today we will once again send our solidarity to our fine comrades in Gaza. I'm just going to finish up now, it's extremely cold here. On the cold, freezing Clonus ground, Commandant Matt Fitzpatrick, young life ebbed away. A life that had given so much, a life that was honest, a life that nurtured a love of his fellow people, and a country that he loved dearly. A life that was determined to bring about a People's Republic. I pay tribute to Commandant Matt Fitzpatrick and to all his brave fallen comrades. And I congratulate the Matt Fitzpatrick 1916 Society here that 104 years after his death, they continue to keep his memory alive. Óglaigh Na.
Thanks, Michael, for that wonderful bit of history and all there now. Well researched and all. So that's the date now, and we're going to have Keynote now to finish off now with Around the Vein, and there's refreshments now in the Ramblin' House in Newton Butler, and he's going to go back there. It's just on up to the roundabout, turn right, it's over on the left hand side. So I want to thank you all now for coming, and we'll finish off now with Around the Vein.
Keynote.